Hello, welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, I'm doing something that I haven't done for quite some time now, and that's a just for fun design. And well, this thing that I'm currently standing on top of is Bruce the Space Shark, which is this lovely thing all the way over here. So this is a gigantic space-only ship that features ion thrusters all around it. We've got solar panels for some renewable power, and on the inside is a gigantic area that's very bare bones at the end of the day, but there's plenty of room for you to decorate, for you to redesign, and actually use the space in survival mode. However, with that being said, it is also ready for survival mode. We've got plenty of containers inside there. You've got medical kits, farm kit, refill stations, and all the other stuff you need. So yes, you can just rejiggle it around if that's what you want to do. But no, pressing F10, finding its spawn menu, Bruce the giant space shark is 5,663 large blocks using the Deck Block number 2, Sparks of the Future, and Warfare 2 DLC packs. We see up to here there is Survival Ready, and of course it went through what I just said just a second ago. And then for the DLC packs, Sparks of the Future is the only really hard requirement because it uses the sci-fi thrusters. Anyway, down to here's the specifications of what I've got inside it. So you've got plenty of batteries, you've got gravity generators, lots and lots of storages, and we will see one hell of a lot of large cargo containers on the inside, just lining up the ceiling. And of course we've got oxygen generators, we've got oxygen tanks, hydrogen tanks, gyroscopes, and connectors to dock it up. So giving this thing a thumbs up, moving around towards the very front, have a very brief look around the outside. There's not too much going on with it, it's just the general overall design of the thing. Then we'll have a tour of the interior, and we can get a gander at that. So for the very front of Bruce the Space Shark, this is what we get. We're right in the very middle. What we've got is a giant window panel to view inside of the area where we're going to be driving around from. On the inside here, it's like I said, it's quite bare bones with what you got. So shoving the camera all the way through very quickly now. And well, here we are. So we've got a control seat to drive around, ore detector on the front, air vent, and then 2 doors and some lights on each side. So yes, there's plenty of ways to actually upgrade this, decorate this what you want. That's entirely up to you if you want to do that. Anyway, put away from there, moving all the way up, we've got 2 ion thrusters which are acting as the eyes of the shark, and then a bunch of blue steel blocks, blue concrete steel blocks to make up the main body of the shark. We can all see our fin at the top there and on the sides, and these 2 side fins can be moved up and down thanks to a hinge. We'll see that when we get into the cockpit. Move around onto the sides, all the way around, and here we are with some more ion thrusters. We've got some white for the underside of the shark, and of course there is a hinge for the fin. Just moving the sunlight back around a bit so we can see a clear view of what's going on there. That's much better. So yes, there's the hinge for the fin on the side. There's your doorway to get inside, one on the opposites. Then we see how the body has to be slightly ridged up as it gets smaller and thinner as it goes towards the tail. Up here on the top fin, there's some solar panels for some renewable power. We'll see a few more solar panels on the tail fin. Let's come all the way back to here. There's a compact antenna to make sure you can always find this thing. Then here we are at the very back with some more ion thrusters and some more solar panels. Round towards the very back there. There we are. And of course for the opposite side, basically what we just saw. So all the way across in the darkness, there's your doorway to get inside, iron thrusters, there's your little fin down there. Moving all the way up and looking down, first we'll start at the very front. That's how the face has been set up, so we see it slowly, gradually raising all the way up to the middle. Then of course it will go all the way back down towards the tail. There's the top of the fin, more iron thrusters to move you down. Then towards the very back here, there's the antenna. And there's the rear of the tail. Moving down underneath it, all the way around, not too much to talk about over here. So yes, more blue steel blocks, we then come across to our white, more iron thrusters which should be neatly separated from each other. And then across to here, here's your fins, where you can see our hinges very clearly. And over there's your 2 connectors to dock it up, and of course to recharge it up with whatever you need for your adventure. Then at the very front there, the final part of this thing, 2 more iron thrusters to help slow this thing down. And with that, that's a very brief look around the outside of Bruce the Space Shark, and what it is, it does look great with how it's been set up. Yes, it's not the most detailed ship in the world, but it certainly works for what this creator has tried to go for. But now what I'm going to do is grab hold of my character, because now it's time for the interior tour. So walking around here, I don't know why, for a second there I thought it was on Asteroid, just looking down at this thing due to the textures, but no, we're going to have a tour of the interior, because this is where all the gubbins are of the shark. So over here, dropping ourselves down on this handy little steel block, opening up the doorway, and here we are for our airlock. Now there is a little gap right there, which I'm not too sure there's a block missing. I'm not too sure there's meant to be a mod on the inside here. There wasn't any warnings when I spawned it in, but there is a gap there for you to attach something on there if you want to do that. Anyway, there's your air vents. Into here's another doorway to open up. Turning off my light because it's quite dark. There's a refill center on the side for a quick little recharge. Air vent right next to it. Then moving all the way down these steps. This is what we get on the inside. So there's your rotating large reactor with a small one on top. Looking up and around, we've got one hell of a lot of conveyors linking everything together. There's your modules for your assemblers and your refineries. All the way across a bunch of light panels. Here's your rows and rows of large cargo containers. Down to there's your gravity generator. And then we've got a bunch of white neon tubes just lining up the floor. There was a turn around and come down these steps. So here we go all the way down to the bottom floor. And this is what we get turning on my light. So yes, like I said, there's plenty of room for you to basically refit it with whatever you want. You can absolutely change these into different rooms, have a private quarters, crew quarters, kitchen, living room, refinery bay, and actual medical bay if you want to actually section stuff off. But as it is, it's just one gigantic room, drawn from the front to the back, and got everything you need for survival mode. Anyway, we're going to go towards, I don't know which way towards the front, I'm actually a little bit turned around here, so we'll just keep going on this direction. Yes, this is what we get. We've got batteries right under our stairs. Over here's LCD screen with nothing going on. Got a standard light over there, plenty of light panels around the room. There's your survival kit to respawn and recharge itself. Moving towards this section, another rotor, which is spinning around a gravity generator. Because we've got all of our large cargo containers above us, a bunch of interior walls just lining up the side sections. Then moving all the way along, catwalks in the floor, white neon tubes, they come across some blue neon tubes. That leads across to the very back section, which will be a bunch more stuff. It's going to start off with a small cargo container, some more batteries, some more railings, some more stairs, and of course one hell of a lot of conveyors, container above us, small ones along the floor. We then see a bunch of tanks, a bunch of gyroscopes, and just walking along here. And there we are. So yes, a hell of a lot of gyroscopes in the back here. That's all there is in this section. Running towards the front with my light turned off so you can see how dark it is inside here. Here we are past our spinning reactor. And then over to this part, here's your full-on medical bay block to respawn on and to change your outfit. A bunch more batteries lining up the wall. Then all the way up these steps, past some more batteries, another LCD screen, turning around facing the back. And then coming through this doorway, because here we are at the very front of the shark. So in the ceiling, there's your air vent, turning around and closing up that doorway. There we are, past the ore detector, then getting into the seeds. And here we are, all the way around. Moving to third person view, and relining the sunlight. That'll do quite nicely. Bring up the HUD. These are the only controls we get for Bruce. So no one's give you your ion thrusters, which could be for all the way around the ship. So when we talk about that, we won't be able to move this thing around. Putting it back on and pressing number 3 for your fins at the front. Putting the camera like so. Pressing number 3. And here we go. They just go all the way straight down. Then we can put it back to how it was. And we're relining that. There we go. Then you've got number 4, 5, 6, and 7 for your batteries to change them from auto to recharge. The mates in the master toggle for your doors to open them all up. There are all the oxygen being pumped out. Then to close them all up. And then number 9 for your light panels on the inside to turn them on and off. On tab number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, we've got nothing else. It's now time to drive this thing around. So moving forwards, here we go for Bruce the Space Shark. This is what we get. And while it's as you expect for a just for fun design, well, we're not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. We're just going to be moseying about the universe and just doing our own little thing. Coming to a stop, that's what we get. We're not going to be able to stop in time, especially if we're heading towards an asteroid or base without a safe zone. We'll quite happily crash into it. And I am going to have to use the control panel to actually stop this thing before we move left and right. There we are, moving left. Moving right, again, very slow with that. Moving down. And then moving up. Moving up feels a little bit faster than moving down, but generally moving forwards is the fastest thing out of everything, or at least that's what it feels like to me. But then moving this thing around with our gyroscopes, this is what we get, and surprisingly, is not too bad. I actually have pretty good control over this thing. It's not the greatest in the world, we're not going to be able to do a 180 to stop it in time, but it's just enough to maneuver it to get it where we need to go. But that's pretty much it for Bruce the Space Shark, and it's just a novel little design to play around with. And of course, like I said, you can easily upgrade this whatever you want on the inside. In fact, you could always line up the interior with a bunch of hydrogen thrusters. If I was up out here and just come around towards the back, you could easily just change the very top section right here to have a bunch more iron thrusters. We've got plenty of room on the main body around this section. To the point you could always just half this area, just seal off the very top half, then put all the stuff the hydrogen thrusters to actually make it functional, and actually have the shark more responsive. But anyway, back into this, that's pretty much it for the outside, the interior, what it has to offer. So I suppose what I could do is just slam it into an asteroid, and that'll be that for this video. And so here we go. Bruce the Space Shark is now approaching the asteroid at maximum speed. Took quite some time to reach maximum speed, but in about 5 seconds time we're going to slam into it and we'll see what happens. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And there we go. A nice big explosion. The ship is heavy enough that it should have destroyed a lot of the blocks, but I don't think it has. I think most of it is going to survive. Yes, the rotating reactors have survived. Looking around to here, Looks like we have lost a bit more of the shark. Moving around towards the back. And there we go. So yes, the shark is now impaled into the asteroid. I suppose you could always just use this as an actual base. It would be quite funny to come across as another player just driving along here and seeing half shark sticking out an asteroid. But no, at the end of the day, it's a fantastic looking ship. It's quite a novel looking ship, where, well, like I keep saying, there's plenty of ways to upgrade it. If you do want to have more functionality with it for survival mode, that's entirely up to you if you go that far. So be linked to the description below to which you download Player it yourself. I highly recommend you do, as well as a link to the Skybox you're currently using. I'll be back with another video some point soon. Bye bye.